In 1911, William Howard Taft was in the White House, and Model T Fords were rolling off the assembly lines. Prohibition was 7 years away, but the winds of change were already on the horizon in Erie. Those winds were fanned by popular pro baseball player turned evangelist, the Reverend Billy Sunday. A men's personal work league had been formed to help get more people involved with Billy Sunday's 6-week campaign. This work league helped to organize a rescue mission right here in Erie. The league was eventually replaced by representatives of the evangelical churches of the city. The mission later incorporated under the name City Mission of the Evangelical Churches of Erie. The original mission was set up at 12th and Peach Streets in a former German evangelical church. It became a refuge for many an old-time lake sailor who wintered in Erie. Those sailors were described at the time as a tough crowd given to much drunkenness. They and many others came in out of the cold to get a hot meal, a warm bed, and to hear the Word of God. But not all of the work happened inside the mission. Street meetings became very popular with the help of this gospel wagon purchased in 1919 for $804. It included a state-of-the-art portable organ on the back. After a few years, the Bessemer Railroad bought the building at 12th and Peach, and the mission made what would be the first of 5 moves in its 100 years. This moved to 22 East 9th Street. It was 1918 when Reverend C.A. Blackmore was called to serve as superintendent, a position he would hold longer than any other in mission history, some 32 years. In a 1919 letter to the community, Blackmore wrote, "Prohibition, as great as it is, and with all the good it has been able to do, has not been able to change the human heart, nor save one soul. Neither was it intended to save souls. The power of Jesus Christ through the gospel is the only remedy for sin and the only power that can change a human heart." 1926. Mr. J.A. Zern, also known as the Major, heads up a successful campaign raising $70,000 to build a new, larger mission at 1117 Peach. In the late 1920s, a new era would dawn, the start of the mission's radio broadcast years, the Family Altar of the Air. WLEU broadcast the Morning Sunshine Hour weekdays at 8:30 and the Gospel Melody Hour Sunday evenings at 9:30. "In My Heart There Rings a Melody of Love" is the song that began each broadcast, written and performed by accomplished musician Carl Blackmore. In 1932, the mission's board of directors boasted some of the city of Erie's most prestigious names. Those men included D.N. McBriar, A.M. Dahl, J.H. Walker, C.W. Zook, and J.A. Zern. Mrs. Frances Arnold was instrumental in leading the ladies' home at 134 West 19th Street. The building was donated for the mission's use in 1935. The 30s and 40s saw the growth of Sunday school programs for children, mostly from the inner city. To this day, many local parents credit the mission Sunday school with helping to keep their children on the right path. In 1943, the mission celebrated its 32nd anniversary with a week-long series of events, ending each night with the very popular Spiritual Jubilee Singers. The Reverend Charles Arthur Blackmore died in 1950, leaving behind a legacy of caring and service to the Erie community. In the early 60s, Reverend Ed Seraphin led the mission with his young family, including 3-year-old Eunice, living in an apartment upstairs. By 1964, a ticket to the mission's annual banquet would set you back $1.75. A 1966 Church Feature of the Week article in the Morning News celebrated the mission's Sunday school as integrated, active, and Bible-centered, with up-to-date teaching methods including films, film strips, and flannel graphs. The City Mission continued as an arm of the church, with this picture, drawn by mission supporter Nellie Huber, appearing on flyers and solicitations asking for community support to keep the mission operating and helping those most in need. By 1978, it was announced that the mission had purchased 1023 French Street, the former Knights of Columbus building. From 1979 through 1991, Jerry and Jan Marshall shared ministry duties at the mission. While the times change, the mission remains the same, housing the homeless, feeding the hungry, and rescuing the lost with the Word of God. The Erie City Mission is grateful to its directors throughout its history: Reverend Ed Clark, Reverend C.A. Blackmore, Mr. Cyril Smith, Mr. Ernest Tippett, Mr. Clarence Chamberlain, Reverend Ed Seraphin, Reverend Jerry Marshall, Reverend Fred Thompson, Mr. Tom Schaefer, Mr. Timothy Marshall, Mr. Jack Kovacs, and Reverend Rick Crocker, who serves to this day. Today's mission is as vibrant and relevant as ever before, serving more than 140,000 meals each year in the mission dining room and at our second site at the San Juan United Methodist Church. The mission currently houses up to 81 homeless men and helps to rehabilitate up to 42 men at any given time in our New Life program. Thousands are helped each week with emergency groceries and other basic necessities at the Family Care Center. And the King's Closet provides free clothing to those in need. The last decade has brought women back together for fellowship and worship in the Women's Connection Ministry. Bonkers for Jesus Kids Summer Camp had its successful debut in the summer of 2011, and the Sunday Meal Ministry is going strong, keeping our local churches active in the ministry inside our walls. The last decade has also seen the creation of Help the Homeless Week, with efforts around the community to collect funds and food for those in need, and Knock Out Homelessness has become one of the most popular fundraising events. And, once again, the community has rallied to support its mission, raising enough funds to realize the dream of replacing the more than 100-year-old shelter with a brand new building, directly behind the current mission, a building that will house more than 100 men. The bricks and mortar represent the love and caring of volunteers, donors, staff, and all those who keep the Erie City Mission and those we serve in their hearts and in their prayers. We celebrate this 100 years knowing that from its first days to today, we couldn't do it without you. God bless you, and God bless the Erie City Mission.